A woman crosses the US-Mexican border. She isn't trying to escape an abusive household or find a better life on the other side. She's trying to get the medical care and drugs she needs to survive, because the US medical healthcare system has failed her. Hi, my name is Nathan Girardi, and the woman I just described to you was my grandmother, who after getting cancer was denied her medical insurance, dropped from them completely, and in order to get what she needed, she had to go to a different country. The American healthcare system often fails US citizens, and this isn't on accident, this is on purpose. It puts millions every year into debt or bankruptcy, and while also having the worst healthcare service in the world. Today I'll be telling you about the medical system has done wrong in its capacity to help people, and what it can do better and what you can do to help. First, I'm going to be telling you about how the American healthcare system is lagged behind the rest of the world. Secondly, I'm going to be telling you about how it puts millions in debt every year. Thirdly, I'm going to be telling you about how it specifically targets and is discriminatory towards American citizens. That being said, I'm going to tell you about how America has lagged behind the rest of the world. The US spends more on healthcare than any other country in the world. According to the Commonwealth Fund, the US spends twice as much on healthcare than any other Western country in the world, while also statistically having the lowest lifespan ratio of any country in the Western world. That's insane. This is due to a couple of reasons. American healthcare is extremely expensive. To put this into frame, according to Global News, a checkup in Canada in 2013 cost about $54, while in the US cost about $200 USD. This has led to many people living in the US going to see a doctor less often than they should because of how expensive it is, which often leads to preventable illnesses such as diabetes in the US. So why is a country that spends more on healthcare than any other OECD country also have it so that the people who live here often can't get the medical healthcare they need? The truth, like many things in life, comes down to the bottom line. If a company can make money, they're going to make money. As an example, insulin is one of the most common medicines people need in the US and is also extremely expensive because of it. According to Single Care, a bottle of insulin only costs about $2.50 to make, while in the US, it costs about $250 for people to buy. In what kind of society can driving up essential medicines and medical services okay? That being said, I'm going to talk to you about what happens when things go too far. And things go too far very often and on purpose. Millions of Americans go bankrupt every year due to medical health care debt. On average, 18% of all Americans will go bankrupt because of medical fees. And medical debt makes up about 66% of all debt in America, according to the TCF. My grandmother was failed by the medical system and became a part of a statistic. After being failed, her only good choice was to travel out of country to get the medical health care, the medicine she needed to survive without going bankrupt a second time. How can the American healthcare system be the most expensive in the world, but also be statistically the worst at the same time? The answer is simple. The American healthcare system isn't meant to help people. It's meant to make money. According to the US Library of Medicine, medical healthcare is now strictly a financial term. Healthcare organizes doctors and patients into a system that financially exploits and extracts as much money from clients as possible, through hospitals, clinics, health insurance, pharmaceutical industry, and the medical device manufacturers. Private insurance is the main driving factor in these high prices in the US. Time and time again, they're allowed to artificially hike up the prices of medicine and medical health care. It's not that private insurance is inherently a bad thing. It's like in some countries in Canada, as previously mentioned, medical insurance isn't too bad for private insurance, but they also have free public insurance and laws in place that prevent companies from artificially hiking up their prices, according to global news as previously mentioned. But if the outrageous prices of medical care wasn't enough, then we have the worst offender of all: how medical health care is discriminatory to millions of Americans. Up until very recently, medical insurance could either drive up your prices or deny you completely if you had a previous medical anomaly. According to the Kaiser Family Foundation, in March 23, 2010, President Obama signed a comprehensive bill known as the CARES Act. This prevented medical insurance to deny people health care. However, this did not prevent them from just increasing the prices of medicine for everyone across the board. This act was to help people. However, it's still very common practice to just hike up the prices when medicine is needed for everyone instead of just a specific group getting around the law. Even with that being said, low income are even more at risk. This is due to a combination of things, but the biggest deal is with diabetes and obesity being very common in low income neighborhoods. As mentioned previously, insulin in the US is absurdly expensive, and preventable illnesses like obesity are the most common in the US according to the TCF. Americans often sacrifice their own health because, simply put, they can't afford these prices. In conclusion, the American healthcare system spends the most on any country on medicine, while also having the worst healthcare in the Western world, bankrupts millions of Americans every year, and for the sole reason making money, and it's biased towards those treating patients who actually need help with the worst/most expensive treatment. The American healthcare system often fails those it's meant to help, putting millions of Americans in debt, personal bankruptcy, while also having the worst service in the Western world. This isn't okay. This can never be okay. America deserves better. We deserve the right to life, and the fact that our lives are treated as sales and numbers is deeply disturbing. So I implore you, speak about this. Don't let this be okay any longer.